Hello. Hi, just waiting for some people to join us right now. It's amazing to be here with you. Yeah, do you want me to close that window for you? It's a bit bright. Let me just do that quickly before more people join. Yeah, how's that? Is that better? Hello. Yep, I can see people are joining in, which is amazing. Really good to have you with us. Hello, hello, hello. It's 8 p.m. here in Moscow. Let me just quickly check with my team whether or not they can see us. I think they can, because there's like 4 people joining in already, which is always a good indicator that people are watching and everything's working. Let me just quickly check. All right, people are joining in. How are you guys? Vinod Kaka. Hi, hi. Yeah, I think we are on. It is indeed time for some long-awaited laughs. We promised this last time when we went live, and yeah, indeed, we are covering Russian humor for you. And I'm super excited because I'm a huge fan of memes, and I love absurd humor. My favorites are Ilfin Petrov, Daniil Harms, Monty Python, The World of Lepianka, which is only in Russian and is absolutely amazing. And I love Irina Gorbacheva's short sketches as well. I think she's a genius. So yeah, humor is a big thing for me, and these are my top favorites, and we are going to be talking about later on. But first, unfortunately, I need to share this with you because you have to know that our producer, our wonderful producer, Rajan, is sadly ill today. So if you can, give her some love in the comments section. She is usually the one answering all your questions, sharing links, keeping an eye on your most relevant comments, etc. So yeah, say a big hi to Ayjan. And also say hello to Yulia, who's covering for Ayjan today and being absolutely amazing because she also doubles as our boss. So if you guys have any questions, this is your unique opportunity to speak directly to the lady in charge. She's with us today, Yulia. Hi. And before we get to the giggles part, let's talk serious stuff. Here's a tiny little dose of current affairs for you so that you don't get too bored. I know you're here for the laughs. The spread of coronavirus in Russia has reached its plateau, which means that today, in the past 24 hours, there have been 8,894 confirmed cases across all of Russia. Moscow is loosening its self-isolation regime, which means that starting next Monday, after this weekend, some state offices are going to open up and also some industrial plants are going to start working. But for most of us, we are going to be staying indoors still, at least until the end of May. And just to start things off, here's a tight little article from our website listing just some of the many, many Corona memes that Russians have been enjoying. Now, because I'm doing this without Ayjan today, I will be posting this directly into the chat section myself. So, pasting it, booyah, it's out there. This is a message from me to you guys. Yep, more people joining in. I will be reading your comments out later on in the show. Right now, let's get on with things. Laughing at grim matters is inherently Russian, and we are going to talk about Russian humor very soon. But first, let me run you through some of the comments that we received to our previous stream. Let me just quickly open those. Where can they be? Oh, I hate myself for doing this. Like, I have so many things open on my phone, and then I randomly decide to close everything, not taking into account that Hang on a minute. I will need this minutes later for our stream. Nope. Facts about Russia. This was our last stream. Getting everything wrong. Terrible. Okay, I'll have to do this from my laptop right now. Bear with me. Okay, we've got some comments that you guys left to our stream last week when we covered some unexpected but reoccurring questions about Russia. That was a lot of fun. We did have to go deep into the subject as well, which I immensely enjoyed. I like to go deep sometimes, but yeah. AK, thank you for the video. What would you recommend? Any advice to someone who grew up in America, strongly considering moving to Russia? Born in the USSR, but had to leave due to the collapse. Oh, I understand that. Come visit first. Have a look around. Check it out as a tourist first, whether or not you will enjoy it. Tim has lots of good advice because he's an actual American who moved to Russia, so he's a good person to talk to. Heard him say that it's extremely difficult paper-wise, but I'm no expert. I don't know. David Meakin, love your comments to the 1980 Summer Olympics. In 1980, I was in the 6th class at school in a town about 70 kilometers away from Sydney. Our teacher was Russian and would tell us stories of the Soviet Union. This started my fascination for Russia. Great memories. In 1980, Australia was one of only a few Western countries that did not boycott the games. That's true, actually. Well, that's great to know. I think that's how it all starts. You need to have a person with a personality, a human being that you trust, who can tell you about things that you don't know of from a very kind of personal point of view, I suppose, because when we perceive things only through the media, that's when things get tricky because it's someone else's agenda and it's always so politicized. Ugly bloke on a bike. I think this is like one of the best nicknames I've ever seen in my life. So good. I've only spent a week in Russia, but loved it and cannot wait to go back. Thank you so much. Looking forward to this. I mean, we've got plenty of bikes in this country. My bike is extremely ugly, by the way. It's one of those foldy ones, and it was super cheap when I got it as well. And I got so used to it that I don't intend to change it anytime soon. It's pretty old now. I think it's nearing 10 years or something like that. But it's very handy in a big city, and I can always take it into any sized elevator because I can just fold it. Mohammed Shah, just a suggestion. Try to consider time-stamping your videos so your viewers can go directly to the topic of the video for the day. Great idea. I think we should do that. I'm sure that we can figure that out on post-production, and yeah, I think it's way more professional to do something like that. Let's stamp our videos. We've got more work to do, guys. Team! Also, if you guys have any suggestions on time codes and on things that you think are relevant or not, or any other ideas, drop us a line at info@rbth.com. We check those. We actually do. And I personally replied to some of the emails that are addressed to me. So let's do that. Okay, those were the comments. Thanks for bearing with me. I'm sorry I couldn't open that on my phone to look a little bit more professional, but hey, who needs professional when we can just be normal humans? Ship document only. There we go. That's gone now. What are we working on at the moment? You probably want to know, and I will tell you. Because it's the same as last week. We're putting together a really funny video. Well, it's not super funny. I think it's more informative this time around, but it's always funny because it's like shot at home. I think I love what's happening with self-isolation at the moment because I get to see all of these incredible content creators from all over the world working from their homes and being like 2 steps ahead and being even more fun. I'm not talking about myself right now. I'm no steps ahead at all. Like I'm stuck to my Wi-Fi router that I can see from here, and I can't move further away because otherwise we'll lose connection. And you guys are saying that it's not perfect anyway. So, but yeah, we nearly finished our fresh explainer about Russia's unofficial symbol, and press the bell to stay tuned and watch it here first. Also, I fulfilled my dream. And like you notice that I'm sitting this way. You can see my little fireplace over there. And I always wanted to sit on my sofa in front of it, but I can't do that because of poor internet connection. And I could do it this time. I recorded the whole thing sitting in my jumper in front of that fireplace, which was like perfect working conditions for me. Yeah, but let's get to the point and get to our main theme of the day, Russian humor. Let me introduce you to the weird and wonderful world of Russian humor, and I have to say, lack of in certain situations. I've said this last time and I will repeat it again because I think this makes so much sense. Tell a joke to a German and he will not understand it. Tell a joke to sorry, German people. Tell a joke to an Englishman and he will understand it but won't show it. Tell a joke to a Japanese and he will understand it his own way. Tell a joke to a Russian and he will tell you that he knows 3 more variations of that joke that are much better. So true. So these Russian jokes, they're called anecdote, but they're not an anecdote, like a peculiar story. They're more like a joke with a witty and unexpected punchline at the end. That's what we call anecdote. And these all have common characters, like we'll go through them very shortly. And these common characters, we learn them through life, I suppose, from childhood. As Russians, we hear these in school from our parents and kin, etc., and they just kind of stick. It's like folklore. So one of the characters is Stirlitz, and he's a spy, a character from a highly popular TV series called 17 Moments of Spring, Soviet TV series, actually produced by a woman director, very talented, amazing. If you can find those on any kind of movie platform that you use, you will enjoy. And most of the time you need to know the plot to understand these jokes, but some are pretty universal. They are about this like stiff upper lip, silent type dude. Sort of like, one goes like this. Stirlitz had a thought, he liked it, so he had another. That's the kind of sense of humor I like. It's like a little bit absurd. It's the Neil Hunt situation over here. Booyah. But if you want something a little bit more elaborate, there's this one. Stirlitz, walking down the corridor, subtly pushes the door of his nemesis' office as he was passing it, but the door didn't budge. So Stirlitz stopped, looked around, pushed it harder. No effect. It must be closed, Stirlitz deduced. That kind of stuff. In the series, he's super intelligent, but yeah. His opponent is always Müller, a real German. So Stirlitz is a Soviet dude pretending to be a German called Stirlitz, but he's actually not. But Müller is German. And this, I think, is a great example of Russians laughing at ourselves. We're sort of poking at the backwards state of Soviet electronics. And you need to understand that this joke is from the Soviet Union. It's not us looking back at the Soviet Union and going, oh, things were really terrible back then. No, it's like people realizing what's going on in the moment, on the spot, and having a bit of a laugh at it. So here's the joke. Hitler walks into the room and finds a massive, heavy-looking grey box dominating the table. Hitler says, "What is that?" Müller says, "Well, it's the latest Soviet audio bug. Now, mein Führer, only Stirlitz could walk into this room. I told you he might be a spy." Hitler, "Never mind that, get it out. Why didn't anyone get rid of it?" And then Müller says, "Well, we tried, mein Führer, but no one can lift it. It's too heavy." That. Before Stirlitz, there was Chapayev. And Chipaev was actually a real Red Army hero of the Russian Civil War. Again, a film came out about Chipaev, and I think that kind of spread into mainstream culture and pop culture of the day, and people started creating jokes about him. In these jokes, he's always extremely daft. Touched upon this last time, I'll say it again, because psychologists link humor to a coping mechanism. I have no doubt that Chipaev the joke appeared after this kind of bloodthirsty civil war as a means of coming to terms with what just happened with the country following the revolution. And here's a quick taster of a Chipaev joke for you. It gives you like a great understanding of history as well. Like, I was blown by this one. A Soviet elementary school teacher, in preparation for the celebration of the anniversary of the revolution, asks the children whether any of their relatives knew anyone of the Bolshevik old guard. And one boy stands up and he says that his grandfather knew Chipaev. The teacher is absolutely overjoyed. He's excited. He asks the boy to bring his grandfather over so that he can sit down and tell the children about Chipaev, the hero. The grandfather gladly accepts, comes into school the next day, and is asked by the teacher whether or not he knew the great hero Chipaev, who fought and died for the triumph of communism. He says, indeed, says the grandfather. Comrade teacher, I once saw the great revolutionary hero Chipaev. Please tell the children, how did that go? And the grandfather recalls, well, I fought in the Civil War. It was a fine morning in September. I remember it as if it were only yesterday. Our platoon had a long march and we were resting on the banks of a river. So I'm sitting there eating an apple, my machine gun in my lap. Then suddenly I see movement. There's some guy swimming across the river, and his lordship the general next to me jumps and shouts, "It's Chipaev! Shoot, Ivan, shoot!" So he saw Chipaev, but he was from the opposing army. The whites and the reds, civil war in Russia, get it? And this is like a great way to teach very young children about the misdemeanors our beautiful country went through in the past 120 years. If we dig deeper, before Chipaev, there was Poruchik Rzhevsky. This dude was a woman-loving idiot from kind of Russia's War and Peace times, like the 19th century, where he's often seen in conversation with the wonderfully naive and young Natasha Rostova from Tolstoy's book, although Rzhevsky is not a hero of the book. These are often very naughty jokes. So, some of the jokes that I know in Russian I couldn't translate, but I think they're hilarious about Rzhevsky. He's terrible. He's sexist. But so funny. Anyway, here's a joke for you to understand like how terrible he is. Totally taboo, disgusting. He goes, yesterday I saved a lady from being raped. Oh my, how did you do it? Someone asked, and he says, well, I managed to talk her into consenting. That's Poruchik Rzhevsky for you. He's like James Bond on acid, like a worse version. Do you know what I mean? But yeah. It has to be said that Russia's continued struggle with anti-Semitism overflows in nationalistic jokes about Jews as well. Most of these also have a character, and it's Rabinovich, like an obviously very Jewish name. But they vary. Sometimes they portray Jews as these terrible, money-eager people, but most of them, weirdly, are actually very flattering because they show Jews as very smart, which I enjoy because I have Jewish roots. So I'm allowed to tell you this joke. It's totally legit. you know. During his visit to America, Rabinovich sends a telegram back to his Soviet office saying that I've chosen freedom. And his management decides to fire him during the next monthly meeting. But to everyone's surprise, he shows up. Rabinovich then says, I know where I meant when I said freedom, but do you? It's a typical Soviet joke, pointing a finger at every, and this lies really well with what I spoke about during our last stream. Do you know what I mean? About Russians not trusting their government, being it the Soviet regime or any other. It's this, it really shows through folklore and through jokes and humor. If you watch modern stand-up comedy, on Netflix, American stand-up comedy, it's the same thing. It's people through humor, through these kind of witty, they're basically like jesters with, in a court, you know, the king's jester. It's almost like that. We're kind of laughing, but we're also pointing the finger of satire straight at things that should be changed, that are not working. As kids, we obviously don't understand all of this politicized satire against these jokes, but we're introduced to this crude yet poetic work. Now, this Vovочка, he's not too bright, not interested in his studies at all, prone to underage drinking, smoking and swearing. And I was surprised to find out when I was researching that he's apparently a subversion of young Vladimir Lenin, because Vova, and Vladimir Lenin was a role model character, young Lenin, he was called, in many tales for children in the early 20th century. So this was actually the people's way of fending off this blunt and stupefying early Soviet propaganda. People were not stupid. They didn't take it. This one's going to be a little bit explicit, bear with me, but a little bit, not too much. Anecdote про Вовочку, a Russian joke, an anecdote about Vovочka. The teacher asks the class to produce a word that starts with the letter A. Vovочka happily raises his hand, because that's how we answer in Russian schools. So it's either like this or just like raise your hand. And he raises his hand and he says, asshole! The teacher's shocked response, for shame, there's no such word. And then Vovочka replies, that's strange. The asshole exists, but there's no word for it. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. And again, if you listen to it as a kid, you'll just, it's funny for you because there's explicit language and it's a little bit unexpected. You don't know that there will be a twist. But if you listen to it as an adult, it's way deeper than that, because the Soviet Union was heavily censored and there were lots of taboos. Things existed, but because no one spoke of them, it was as if they didn't. Do you know what I mean? So it's deeper than you notice at first hand or as a child. There are many, many other characters that paint a portrait of Russian history and its conflict better than any textbook. Just to name a few: the New Russian Rich, the Millennials, the one about the goldfish, the Chukchi, the policeman, and so on and so forth. And we have a fantastic article on RBTH, which is very accurate. It talks about what Russians like to laugh at the hardest. Let me just quickly find the link for you so that I can publish it into our chat section. There we go. Have a look at it after this stream. It's really good. We Russians, we love to laugh at ourselves, and we love to do it as long as no one else is pointing a foreign finger at us. That we detest. That's impossible. We don't do that. We can't laugh along to someone laughing and joking at Russians. But when we laugh at ourselves, we're actually really dirty. Not dirty as in naughty, but like harsh. One of my favorites is called "This Country Can't Be Defeated." It is a visual joke, so it mostly comes in photographs and videos depicting, well, basically Russia's extreme poverty and desperate ingenuity that comes from that poverty and, well, desperation. And these make me laugh so hard that I get teary. And then really sad. I'm like, my poor, poor, wonderful country. What's happening there? Have a look at those. It's in the article as well. But I suppose that with humor, we take a stab at corrupt politicians, policemen, sexist jokes, numerous, laugh at blondes, at women in general, at women drivers. I obviously hate those, but they exist. Russians love to laugh at post-Soviet neighbors, laugh at Americans. But I think the one thing that you have to understand, that for Russians, there's always a time and a place for a joke. So peppering everyday speech with sarcasm, an exercise in wit, for the British, for example, will not get you places here in Russia. There's a quote that I want to bring you from one of the articles that I read in preparation. So hang on, because I need to find this one. I don't have it on my computer. And we need to see it because it's really funny. And I can't find it. Where's the link? Why am I such a mess? Sorry. Hang in there. Bear with me. Bear with me, everyone. It's fine. When did this happen? It's our work chats. We have so much going on that it's really difficult to find any links afterwards. When did this? No, it came later. It's at nearly 5. Let me check. If I don't find it, it's fine. I'll have to just read it from my mind. No, it's not here. What about this one? Booyah, here it is. Told you I'll find it. So yeah, it's a faux pas by a American journalist who recalls his encounters of Russian humor. And his name is Benjamin Davis. And it's open. Yes. Let me quickly find it. I just saw the word asshole again in this text. It's the Vovchka joke. There we go. So this is Benjamin Davis writing about his experience with Russians not taking sarcasm so well, basically not understanding it. Take, for example, a man I met in a bar who decided to tell me a bit about his childhood. We had bullets, you know, he said. I nodded, of course. And we would throw them in the fire and they'd explode. It was so much fun. There were many bullets everywhere back then. Well, that's safe. He frowned. No, it was very dangerous. So I've experienced this a lot. I've seen it in mixed, when you hang out, Russians hanging out with foreigners, especially if you have Anglo-Saxon humor trained foreigners there, that Russians don't understand sarcasm. And usually people would have to ask again, like, come again? Are you joking? I don't understand whether or not you're joking, or if you actually mean what you're saying, even if it's something as hideous as saying that bullets for kids are safe. And when I read that in preparation, I almost lost faith. But then I remembered memes. I have to tell you, Russians are kings of visual humor, and my faith is totally restored. Memes are very difficult to translate and explain because they always come under this thick source of cultural background knowledge. But this article that we luckily have on rbth.com does a pretty good job. So check it out. I am copying a link for you and pasting it into the chat section. And I can see that you guys have left so many interesting comments. I'll get to those very soon, I promise. I'll read the best ones out and I'll try to answer all of your questions. But after I deliver my full Russian humor speech that I've been preparing for you for this stream. Yeah, so check that one out for memes. And I think that's me done. That's me done. Let me just go through the comments section right now and ask me anything else, because I'm still here. And we've got plenty of time. I was fairly quick, to be honest. I thought that I'll spend much more time retelling you all of these jokes that I found. Some of them, even the ones that you can translate, most of them are still lost in translation, and somehow they don't sound as funny in English as they do in Russian. But it was important for me to choose these specific jokes that I delivered to show how they're intertwined with the country's history and with the people's perception of what was going on politically in their country, because humor and jokes are always the result of it's folklore, народное творчество. It's something that people produce on their own. It's their reaction to reality around them. And I think it's absolutely brilliant. I had a field day researching for this stream. Right, well, let me see. We've got so many. Thank you so much for being so responsive. And Bear 13, humor sounds like a very needed topic right now. Am I right? Exactly, it does. Thomas Reach, please help. My wife is from Moscow. She tells jokes that do not seem funny. This is the only problem we have. It's because it's really difficult to translate those. Ask her to show you some memes. I think maybe those could work a little better and kind of transcend because of the visual component of memes. Even when I read out, Thomas, even when I read out these jokes today, they didn't sound half as funny to me as they would in Russian. I'm a linguist, so I have to tell you that it's really important to take into account phonetics. We perceive information in so many ways. It's not just what we say, it's how we say it and the sounds that we produce. And for example, the word asshole in Russian sounds like жопа. And I think it's a stronger word. It just sounds funnier. Like, жопа есть, а слова нет. The asshole exists, but the asshole exists, but the word doesn't. You know what I mean? So it's not that she has a bad sense of humor. Don't worry. I'm sure she has a good one. It's just that it's very difficult to translate humor correctly. Michael Julian, Anna, you're an excellent authority on Russian culture, daily life, and so thank you, and so smart. Thank you so much. I feel obliged, and I'll try my best to keep up. Anton Nikin, I believe that sense of humor is universal for any country. There are only some things that people know in one country and don't know in others, and the rest is quite common for all. I'd agree. I think one thing that is definitely common is that it's a reaction to anything that we can't take control of. That's why there are so many feminist comedians these days. It's because you're pushing an agenda. You're trying to put a word through where it's difficult. And if we talk about American stand-up, there are so many brilliant people of color doing comedy. Again, putting through information that is because the press is so politically correct and because things are always whitewashed, it's difficult to push this kind of agenda through, but it's easy to do it with humor. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I wish that Russian professional comedians would turn away from stereotypes and be a little bit more modern. That's why I don't like the kind of mainstream stand-up ones, but I really like Lepianka and Gorbachev. I think they're brilliant. Yes, Ilya Ilior is stating a list of Soviet old school comedians, which I think are the likes of Zadornov, Nikulin, Zoshchenko, etc. And I think Zoshchenko, that's like full-on political satire that people should reread. Young Russian people should reread these days, and anyone who's interested in life under a Soviet regime to understand like the worst parts of it, because this struggle, it shines through his work incredibly. I just read a passage where it's him, Zoshchenko, writing about the media. Like, the press said that everything's fine, so we packed our bags and ran into the woods. Then the press said, and it really recalls everything that's going on with Corona right now. You know, everyone's like, oh, everything's okay, don't worry. And we're like, we're going to be blasted to smithereens. Everything's really bad. Like, you always think that it's the opposite. Agree. Samita K, is Russian humor dark? Oh, yes. It is. Some of it is very naive and wonderful in that kind of sense, like this absurd joke that I told you earlier on about Stiglitz opening the door and then saying that must be closed. But some of it is full on heavily dark. Michael Julian, dry humor is a common, right? I observe that in watching Russian news programs, and translation and RT sarcasm is extra level. Did Russia innovate trolling? I love Russian political trolling. Trolling. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of trolls. I think that too much negativity. Like, make love, not war. I'm that kind of person, the hippie chick. So I'm not a huge fan of sarcasm. I think that sarcasm has to be very witty in order not to hurt anyone's feelings, because whenever it starts hurting other people's feelings, it's just cheap. That's what I feel about sarcasm. Samita K, humor brings relief from everyday stress. I totally agree. And so do psychologists, because I read a few articles about them, about a psychological approach to humor. It's definitely a stress relief, and laughing just feels so good, doesn't it? Also, she says that my house looks beautiful. Thank you so much. There's lots of love put into this, and over many, many years, so thank you. Alexander Khizhnetsov, I hope I got that right. Transliterating Russian surnames into English. But then I always think about Hungarian people and Hungarian names. Like, can anything be more complicated than Mikhalichik St. Mihala, for example? I don't think so. Hello, he says, health to you, take care of yourself. Thank you so much. Wishing all of you the same. I think these are wonderful words. Arsenio Ballister says, it's hard to make a Russian woman laugh. Haha. Well, that depends on how smart she is. You know that humor is linked to wit. If you're smart enough, you can quickly understand the joke, etc., and understand what comes out of what. Oh, that sounded terrible. You have to understand if she's smart. And there I go, being completely dumb. Sorry. Imperial Russian Empire. That's a serious nickname. Russia Beyond. All right, this is my plan. Go to university in Canada, then join the Russian Navy for 3 years, and then get my citizenship. Sounds like a plan. Thinking ahead. Very well. Anton Nekin, jokes about mother-in-law. Yes, we call a mother-in-law tёща in Russian, and these jokes definitely exist, and they're usually based around a really bad relationship that mother-in-laws have with their sons-in-laws. it's, again, a kind of stereotype and a myth, because I hardly know any family where it's true. Maybe it's also a class thing, but I know one. I'll have to translate it off the top of my head right now. So it's a dinner and everyone's at the table and the mother-in-law is eating soup and she chokes and she's like, clap, clap, because in Russia it's like this and this is the same pahlopa, and she's like, clap me, clap, clap. And her son-in-law goes, bravo, mama. See, yeah, these jokes also exist. More comments. Alexander Jesus. This one is in Russian, so I'm translating it. It's way more difficult to be constantly positive than to be constantly upset, but it's also much nicer, feels much nicer. I would totally agree. It's also much more difficult to like push a positive agenda, but it takes a lot of work, and I suppose it's this kind of very fashionable mindfulness, meditation, do yoga, go for a jog, hug someone that you know is not ill and you can hug a close person, etc. So it kind of sounds, it's a nicer life. I agree. It feels nicer. Arsenio Ballester. I have a female friend from St. Petersburg and it's hard to share jokes. I just know Russian jokes about Gopnik and hard. These are good jokes though. It's one of the biggest issues in cross-cultural relations, humor, isn't it? They say you truly speak a language if you can understand children, native children of that language speaking to each other. That's how I understood. I didn't speak any French. And also, if you can understand a foreign sense of humor, which is, well, maybe less common than the Anglo-Saxon sense of humor, which we're actually all used to because of cinematography, then you're there. You understand that culture. Theodore Salsenu. Speaking of trolls, have you ever heard of the phrase, television made a star out of the village idiot, the internet made him a spokesman? Kind of sums up it nicely. Yes, I think it also lies wonderfully with the Soviet agenda. The early Bolsheviks, they used to say that the woman in the kitchen should become ruler of the world. Кухарки должны править миром. So that didn't work out, did it? You actually have to be an educated person to be, I suppose, nicer online. Do you know what I mean? And not spread aggression. But it's a very liberal thing, isn't it? You become a shield to aggression. Like you wouldn't answer to aggression with more aggression if you're educated enough and you have enough resource within you. You know what I mean? It's not always easy. Most of the time it's actually really difficult. That's what trolls are for, to break that shield, to break you, break your humanity, turn you into this aggressive mess. Ivan Slepichev. There are quite a lot of jokes about politicians, for sure. Yes, so many. About politicians from all kinds of, from all eras of politics in Russia, and I'm so confused. I confuse myself. There are historic anecdotes about politicians, about emperors, etc., about Soviet rulers, and about modern politicians as well, and of course about Putin. Let's get the elephant out of the room. Lots of jokes about Putin. More questions. Schultzy 100. Wow. What time is it over in Russia right now? It is nearly 9 p.m. That's why I closed the window. It was actually, it was lighter. But yeah, it's 9 p.m. Summer evenings. Soon it's going to be like this until the morning comes. Ah, la 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 la. Arsenia Ballister, what can you say about Gopnik? Tripalowski jokes. We spoke about Adidas in our last stream. Have a look at that. If you missed that, we spoke about the 3 stripes. I think it's so much fun. Actually, if you guys are from different cultures, let me know what you call your Gopniks. I only know chavs in the UK, rakai in France, and in Australia they're boggarts or something like that. It's like maybe rednecks, not white trash in the States. Maybe a kind of very low class yet aggressive social strata of people commonly linked to nationalism and oddly football. So what do I think those jokes are hilarious, but dark, because it's a dark kind of culture, right? Russia Beyond, you're a Tsarist. No, I'm not. Alan Lucero, do you speak Spanish? I can only say one thing in Spanish, and it's this. La tortuga bebe su leche. It doesn't make any sense, and I learnt it on an app. It means the tortoise drinks its milk, for those of you who speak Spanish as well as I do. Anton Yekin, I think anecdotes these days are heavily replaced by memes. I totally agree, and I actually quite enjoy it. I think memes are fantastic because you have to understand this. There are always so many layers to a meme, and you won't understand it if you're not in the agenda. Rebecca Doughty. My Russian friends think of me as innocent. What's a good joke to catch them off guard? You got this. A good joke to catch them off guard, like a Russian joke. Check out the links that we posted. They have some good. Do the one about Vovочка, the one about the asshole, except replace the word asshole with the word жопа. It will sound perfect. They will love it. I told it earlier on in the show. You can always watch back a little bit later when it's all uploaded. Theodore Selsinu. Wait, Russia doesn't have daylight savings anymore. Oh, don't ask me. I don't even understand. Does Russia have anything anymore? We only have lockdown. That's all we have here in Russia. Gotcha, cannot wait to see their faces. I hope they enjoy. I'm sorry I said this. If anyone's watching and you're a minor and I keep swearing all the time, I apologize, but I'm allowed to because I'm a certified linguist. No. Guys, I think that's pretty much all from me. I mean, thank you so much for watching. Once again, I'm going to say this like a real blogger or like vlogger, YouTube influencer. Press the bell to stay notified. Watch Tim's stream next Tuesday and Thursday as well. I'm going to be back next Friday with more for you. And hopefully before that happens, we collectively, together with the team, will drop a fresh video, sometime next week. And Aijan, our wonderful Aijan, if you're watching, get well, darling. Best of health to you, etc. And to all of you as well, guys, stay safe. I can't wait to see you next Friday. Just quickly, Michael Julian is asking me about my plans for the weekend. I'm going to the banya. If you don't know what the banya is, check out a video that I did from my dacha explaining everything about the dacha. And yeah, I'm gonna do that. Cleanse my body and soul. Thanks, guys, and see you next week. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.